it really is such a powerful tool in relationships, because conflict comes up when our motivations are conflicting, or we like don't understand why someone else is doing something.
Hey, my name is Veronica Cisneros, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, a mama of 3 girls, and married for 23 years. I am obsessed with helping you navigate through the seasons of marriage, helping couples like you break free from feeling like roommates. I will teach you the secrets to having a healthy marriage by providing tools and tips to help you reconnect in a way that you can't keep your hands off each other, where flirting and kissing is the norm in your household. Setting intentional time to date, get to know and support each other's dreams and goals so that you can grow together without keeping score or judging one another. Where you feel seen and heard even when you disagree. Where arguments end with mutual respect and understanding. Where you work together to build and strengthen your family so no one feels like they're carrying the weight of the family on their own. These are the necessary skills your children need for you to model so that they develop healthy relationships and thrive in life. This is the Empowered and Unapologetic Podcast. Hey ladies, welcome to the Empowered and Unapologetic Podcast. I am your host, Veronica Cisneros. We are on part 2. Laurel, say what's up.
Hello, I'm back.
You are back. You are back for round 2. So the person that I have right next to me is my husband, and he's giving me the crazy eyes right now because he has no idea what we're about to do. No. Like at all.
At all.
So you want to tell him or should I?
Yeah. So Veronica and I already did a recording that was about the Enneagram. Have you ever heard of the Enneagram?
I've heard the name.
Okay. So you know how some people are like really into astrology and like use it as a way to understand other people and themselves?
Sure.
This is not astrology. This is based on like what happens after you're born and how your experiences shape what you want and what you're afraid of in the world.
Okay.
So it like shapes your core motivations in life, right? There are 9 different types. We went through all the 9 different types in the previous episode. So listeners, if you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Just go back to the first episode that I did. And it really is such a powerful tool in relationships, because conflict comes up when our motivations are conflicting, or we like don't understand why someone else is doing something, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the why. It's not exactly what they're doing, but the why.
Yeah. I know
right?
one of those things is love language, and I fill up her blank. She does not do mine. And she didn't know what mine is, and still does. Ignores it.
This isn't a free counseling session, honey. It's not a free counseling session.
Well, okay, so this is a great way to talk about like, why does Veronica do that?
Mm-hmm.
And then also, Veronica, why does Willie do that, right? And coming to a place of like understanding the core motivation both of you have in life. Now, I already went through the system in the previous episode that there are 9 core motivations and fears here. And we give them numbers, but they could have been anything. They could have been rocks. They could have been, birds, whatever. They just happen to be numbers. And we have a pretty good sense of where Veronica is in that like 7-8 territory, both like very extroverted, very assertive, very like moving towards people and just like tons of energy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Genius.
And I'm also one of the more extroverted types, but it shows up very differently than Veronica, right? And I'm getting a sense from you that, especially compared to your lovely wife, you're a little more withdrawn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cautious.
And that cautious. Okay. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about being cautious.
Well, here we go. I don't know. I think it's just through my own like you said, experiences in my
Mhm.
past career. I was
Mhm.
taught to evaluate people and I went into far off lands where even now, because of those experiences, some of them being more traumatic than others, I am super cautious of people and evaluate them and like look to see like what are they motivated by, like what do they have their what's their intent. And so
Mhm.
when I travel, when I'm out in public places, I look and constantly evaluating people. And so establishing a sense of trust initially and opening up to anybody is not going to happen for me.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
even through counseling, that has always been like a big thing, and just opening up to any therapist has always been like this, especially with the things that this one has taught me. I like, as they're evaluating me, I'm evaluating them. Um,
Absolutely.
because I want to make sure that they're the right fit for me. And so, same thing with meeting people. I evaluate people, and it's just hard to open up until I see that like their values are aligned with mine. Their intent is good. From what I see, they're a good person. And so that's where it could happen fast, but more often than not, it's slow.
Yeah, over time.
Yes,
And you need to see a demonstrated
correct.
not just verbal commitment, but like actual pattern of loyalty and trustworthiness.
Yes, yes.
You just gave me such into insight to a potential Enneagram type that you could be, right? But I don't want to just tell you who you are. That's really not how the Enneagram is supposed to be used. It's not supposed to be a party trick to be like, well, you did that because you're a 2. No, that's not it, right?
Yeah.
It's looking at like both the strengths and the challenges that come with any given type, right? So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm a type 3. That's the kind of colloquial term for it is the achiever. I care a whole lot about success and um, looking successful, and but also like wanting some substance to back that up. Like it's not just that I want to like appear to have everything. It's like no, I actually want to have everything good, right?
Yeah.
And to be worthy of that admiration from others and also from myself. And sometimes people with the 3, so a strength is they're very hardworking and they are really adaptable. They can kind of be whatever the situation requires of them to be successful. And some of the drawbacks is sometimes 3 struggle to be authentic. They struggle to form really deep interpersonal relationships based on meaning rather than on appearance. And so there can be a little bit of shallowness and vanity, and then also a lack of sense of self apart from achievement. So that's 3. Um, but there's nothing inherently good or bad about any type.
Mhm.
It's just how healthy are you in the way you express your type, and are you doing the growth work that your type requires?
Mhm.
So there are people who are very unhealthy versions of every type and people who are incredibly healthy versions of every type. Now, what you just told me about yourself, it sounds like loyalty and security are major motivators for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about that?
Um, well, I guess I would say loyalty for one.
Mhm.
My experiences in the Marine Corps, loyalty
Mhm.
goes a long way. Um,
Maybe even before the
and then
Marine
I would
Corps.
say even before that, and I let
Yeah.
you speak. The question was for me, not to
Don't get
you.
drop kicked.
To me, uh,
Mhm.
the loyalty, I would say that I come from divorced parents,
Okay.
and I would say that
Ah,
that's like really going back as far as you could possibly go. So, um,
yeah.
not wanting my kids, I guess, to have that
Mhm.
is being loyal to my family, being loyal, and to because this to me, I don't because of those bad experiences, I want to um, reverse that experience for my
Yeah.
family. And
Yeah.
so um, there's times where my wife will say, why don't you let anybody in? Like you wanted, like, if you could, you would put us in a bubble and
Mm.
or put me in your pocket and like a kangaroo and put me in your pouch. And I go, I would. And I would be
Mm-hmm.
happy doing that.
I would fight like
Because
crazy.
I don't
Fight
want
like crazy.
I don't like, my fun is my family. My best friend is sitting next to me. And so for
Mm.
me, like, that's my loyalty. The
Yeah.
security is also of them and nobody else.
Yeah.
Like I
Okay.
nobody else is as important than that. So
Okay. Okay, so usually I would ask like a whole bunch more questions, but you zeroed in right on like very like textbook what I'm hearing, and I love being wrong. I love like being surprised, but what I'm hearing is very much the type 6. Type 6, they are literally called the loyalist, and they are all about security, loyalty. They are excellent contingency planners. So like, well, if this goes wrong, we have plan B and C.
mhm.
And there's a really interesting relationship with authority. Now, this also ties into your military background. In military, there's very clear hierarchy and like who you report to and chain of command. And I'm interested to hear, just not separate from the military, how do you feel about people in positions of authority?
I come in with respect.
Mm-hmm.
So like if a person is above me, I just because of what my experiences were in the military, I see them as more respectful. The same thing with the way that I was brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Elders, I was always brought
Mm-hmm.
up no matter what, even if they're wrong, they're in a sense right because they're older. And I was always taught, like, you don't backtalk
Yeah.
elders.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like disrespect or something in the form of a person who appears um, older than me, then a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I tend to take a step back. And
Yeah.
she doesn't like it because she was taught differently that no matter what,
She knows.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
break a bottle.
yeah.
I'm ready to
So,
fight.
so, but for me, because of where I was, and even now, I mean, I have a moment that I can very quickly share. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I had a time where I wanted to try to get away from the military because I was like, this is something that I'm already used to. So I want to try to challenge myself into doing something
Yeah.
totally different. And we had a teammate of ours, a fellow manager, that was screwing the pooch on everything throughout our operations. And it was
Mm.
this person who was at fault. Everybody was trying to provide him feedback, not criticism, but feedback to try to help him and help our operations. Well, people that were giving him feedback were like 2 or 3 levels above, as far as management levels above him. And he was rolling his eyes and just like acting like a child. And I was like, if he does it to me, I'm going to click off safe and I'm going to blast him right here. And, and he did, as I expected. And then he cowered and he just looked down and didn't say anything. And when I told him, look at me when I'm talking to you, he wouldn't. And I just, but it was because a person that we're actually going to be with later on today or tonight,
One of our friends.
She was an officer in the Marine Corps, and she was also many levels above me as far as management wise. And he disrespected her, and I took it
Mm.
personal. And I
Yeah.
let my emotions get the best of me, and then once it came to me, he also kind of disrespected me, so I just blasted him right there on the
Yeah.
spot and let him have it. I didn't hit him, but I was
No.
cordial
Yeah.
for him. I could
But
voice the
this really speaks to, would you say, I hear that you have like total respect and like you totally abide by chain of command,
yeah.
but is there a certain amount of skepticism or distrust? It's like, well, this person's in a place of authority. Let me see if they actually are going to like stick up for us and do a good job and do right
There
by
is.
us.
There is. I think
Yeah.
as I've gotten older, I have challenged leadership a lot more, but I
Mhm.
do it in a tactful and professional way,
Yeah.
always. And I just, or I I also have the ability to change depending on the situation as well as who I'm talking to in the atmosphere. So I tailor my conversations
Mm-hmm.
towards those things. So like if it's a woman, I tailor my conversations towards a woman. If it's a man, authoritative, alpha, then I have the ability to adapt to that as well.
Uh-huh.
Because I've done negotiating, I've done all that type of
Yeah.
stuff, so I know how to get to de-escalate situations.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So in the previous episode, I didn't go into this because the Enneagram is such a complex system and we were just trying to do like a 101 overview of the 9 types and motivations. But each type actually has access to other types, and sixes have access to three, which I just described before, like being highly adaptable,
Yeah.
being able to read a room, read a person, and shift how they engage with that person. So you're just confirming my suspicion here about type 6. And type 6, they can be quite suspicious themselves. Sixes often report a good amount of just general anxiety in the world, that there's this kind of attitude like the world is not really a safe place. I build my own safety. And when I venture out of my zone of safety, I have to be on alert. Is that true of you?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, because if I'm with my family, then yes, hypervigilant, um, looking at everything. But if it's in a familiar place, then that I feel secure in, then
Yeah.
no. Um,
Okay.
but if it's stuff like that, then yeah, I'm more on high alert, um,
Mm-hmm.
and skeptical to where we're at and saying like no. But I was a daredevil child, and so like
Well,
when
that brings up, yeah,
so
that brings something
even
up.
and even now, I still will be one to do
Uh-huh.
like high adrenaline type stuff, high risk type stuff, and so like when it comes to like my wife and I's belief in like I would say I have no problem with my kids going outside and riding their bikes in the neighborhood and all that stuff. My wife would be like, hell no, we don't know who's going around snatching
Mm,
children, and I'm like, we ain't living in a third world country, and we live in a good neighborhood,
mm,
but her and my belief because of the way that I was brought up. Like we didn't come home until the street lights came on and we were outside all day and you only came in
yeah.
to eat and you went back outside and played. And so that's where I've like believed
Yeah.
as far as our kids and total
Mm-hmm.
opposite for my wife.
Yeah.
Therapy is really
So
ruined that for
this is
me.
what was that?
Therapy, being a therapist has really ruined that for me. I'm like, nope, I know about 5 people who got snatched up right across the street from their house and they don't
Uh,
know about
Yeah.
it.
well, Willie, you again, like this is just two textbooks. So six is the only type in the Enneagram where there are kind of two presentations of it. One is the phobic six, which is like just the very fearful all the time. And then there's the counterphobic six. And the way that they are managing anxiety is actually by doing these adrenaline junkie things like skydiving, like going into highly dangerous situations. It's a way to like learn to manage anxiety by like really testing yourself. So it sounds like you have a good amount of that counterphobic instinct, which like, yeah, you do these high risk things and it feels very authentic to you.
Yeah. I actually
Yeah.
find calmness in high stressful situations.
Ah,
Mm.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to
Uh-huh.
because he's so calm. We've had this conversation,
Yeah.
Laura.
Yeah.
Because he's so calm, I'm like, break something. Break someone. Like
Ah.
Show me that
show me that like
that there's something going up festering
yeah,
inside
for
of
me
me.
it's like
And I'm like,
let's fuck some shit up. You know? Just like a quick story, we almost died. I could give two shits how you think about it, but we almost died. And it was like crazy winds. The boat kept on turning off because how bad the waves were hitting the boat. They were hitting them so hard. They were hitting the boat so
Oh,
hard.
it's like
The boat turned off.
45-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah,
on
it
the
was
water,
nuts.
Nautical winds.
Nobody
just,
talked. We all had our
yeah.
life vests, whatever. We like almost died.
It was white.
And
yeah.
yeah. And so we're in it and Willie's just like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, okay. And then
Mhm.
meanwhile, I'm like 911. And I'm looking at
911 doesn't go to the Coast Guard.
well, there is no Coast Guard on the river.
Because
And I'm
smarter than us and left.
yeah, nobody was on the nobody was on the water, Laurel. And so I'm like 911 and service is bad. You can't even call 911. But his ass is just like cool as a cucumber. And I'm like, all right, it's time to go ahead and practice your emotion regulation skills, Veronica. And I was like, babe.
That's why we balance each other out so well.
I'm like, babe.
Well, okay, but this is the purpose of this episode. The purpose of this episode is to talk about how does understanding the Enneagram in a marriage, in a partnership, help you have less conflict and like greater appreciation and love for your partner, right? If it builds that Gottman love map of like deeply understanding your partner's inner world. So I said in the previous episode, it's like each type is its own computer operating system. Now out in the world, we have Macs and we have, oh my gosh, I'm like, yeah, we have Macs and PCs, and like there's also like Linux and like, you know, the home built, but like we have Macs and PCs, right? But there are 9 operating systems for humans, right? And now, of course, each person is individual, but like core programming wise, right? If you can understand your partner's core programming, there's no limit to how close and in love you can be and how much you can show love to your partner, right? So this description of you two being on the boat and Veronica's like, why isn't he freaking out? I'm freaking out, right? And you're just like, no, this is me. Now, do you understand what was motivating her in that moment? What was going on for her?
She was thinking, we're going to die. I'm going to lose my family. And this
Willie
is
doesn't give a shit.
This is it.
That's what I was thinking. Willie doesn't give a shit.
He don't care.
I'm gonna have to save. I'm gonna have to save everybody.
Which she can't save anybody. She can't even save herself.
I have to save everybody. I don't know what.
Well, so
boyfriends, mom, like So we were dead.
Veronica, we haven't narrowed down your type. It's definitely 7 or 8, but we haven't figured out exactly. So you're a very busy lady, so I don't expect that you've been researching since we last met, but actually I'd be interested to hear from Willie. Would you say that your core motivation is to be in control and to like have your autonomy, or would you say your core motivation is to be content and have fun?
I'll give the answer I give at work. It depends.
Okay.
I would say B.
That's a very secure answer.
Yeah. I'd just say B. Content and fun.
I guess
content and fun.
Content. I'm content with where I'm at. I can have fun all the time with where I'm at and with my little bubble of
when we go places.
Oh no, so I'm asking for Veronica. What's Veronica's core motivation?
So say that again. So
is it to be in control and have autonomy?
Hey. you don't even say that. Control.
Okay.
Control.
For 5,000.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like, and of course, Veronica, I always say I love to be wrong, but it sounds like you might be an 8. Right? Now I've also said I love female 8s because female 8s have like said F that to all of the like feminine programming. Like you have to be nice. You have to smile. You have to go along with other people. No, bullshit. Like you are empowered and unapologetic. Right? Yeah. Now I also know that you love to have a lot of fun. Right. But I think that's secondary to like being ultimately in your autonomy.
I like both though. Like I like both. I like equally both.
Calm
the hell down. I think I like both.
You're having a very 8 response to him saying you're an 8.
Oh no.
All right. So if you were to hear about a couple who like one partner's core motivation is autonomy and control, and the other partner's core motivation is security and loyalty.
Okay, is it crazy? The first question to you right now is, are they a client of mine or is this just random?
It's not a client of yours. Although you can't really turn off clinician brain. I know that. But what would be some of the issues you would think would come up for this couple that isn't you?
Okay.
Autonomy and control. security and loyalty.
What type of
What
issues?
conflicts come up there? Yeah.
Oh, I
Conflicts, I
could.
see.
Okay, I see too. So a couple things. I think one of the biggest things that would come up is contempt. 1,000% contempt.
Oh, okay.
One of the reasons why is because, I mean, I don't do this, but I think one of the things that might happen in that type of relationship, and I'm thinking about a couple clients, I know I wasn't supposed to, but whatever. I see it as like, I need to go ahead and make sure I provide some level of safety and some level of organization by proving to you why there has to be some sense of order. And so I see maybe the person that's more in control, not me, but the person that's more in control as attempting to find some way to either manipulate, convince the other party that order is necessary in order for there to be some level of flow.
Yeah. Or just, you know, that they are correct or that they should be in charge.
Yeah.
Right.
Like these are
like kind of a power struggle.
Yeah.
A power struggle would probably come up, right? Yeah. What do you think would be challenging for the 6, the more security and loyalty oriented one, about someone that needs a lot of autonomy?
I think for the 6, are we talking about Willie or just in general? Just in general, right?
In general.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to totally.
We're not doing a whole couples therapy session, but
off the clock.
But thinking about it objectively helps it like remove it from you to be like, all right, if we have these 2 operating systems, what translation software has to happen for these 2 people to love each other deeply?
I think for the other one, the biggest hurdle would be, the biggest hurdle might be that lack of independence, because now it's laser focused on them being dependent on, or feeling as if they're being dependent or forced on being dependent on somebody else's role. And then I think another thing that might come in between the 2 of them is that feeling less than, that not necessarily feeling as if they are less than, but feeling as if they're being convinced and invalidated and
superior.
Right? Like, I feel like that would definitely come up. Like, I'm constantly being invalidated by this individual, and then my ability to be independent is also being constantly questioned. So yeah, I could see that going wrong. Well, not us, because we're perfect, but like for other ones, I'm totally shit. Right? It's not happening. The passion is so low these days that I feel parenthood and other commitments are taking control. I want to feel like it's me he wants to spend time with. Yeah, I've said those exact words 100 times to my friends after realizing that the man I said I do to wasn't the same person. Or was I just imagining it? But here's what I finally realized that changed things for me almost overnight. I started to use 4 simple and effective steps that changed our communication and connection for the better. As a licensed marriage and family therapist, I got excited and started showing my clients, and they too were seeing changes instantly. Whether you've been married for 1 year or 15, these tips work, and I can't wait to share them with you. Girl, I got you. I want to personally invite you to my live 2-hour online workshop. This is for moms who have said, the empty promises just aggravate me so much. He says he will do something or take care of something, then he doesn't. Communication has always been a weak point for us. He says things without thinking. I try to logically work through things, and he reacts emotionally. I try to say what I feel in a constructive manner. He takes it personally and attacks me. Boundaries are a confusing topic for me because I am a helper. I have this innate need to help anyone I can. So if this is you and you are ready to get off this hamster wheel, then allow me to guide you through this 4-step process. I can't wait to meet you personally. So again, this is a 2-hour live workshop. And for whatever reason, if you cannot attend, girl, I got you. This will be recorded, which means you will have lifetime access. This is for women only. If you are ready to go from roommates to lovers, then let's go ahead and step outside of our comfort zones together. Allow me to guide you. If you're ready, what I'd like you to do is go to empoweredandunapologetic.com/workshop. Again, that is empoweredandunapologetic.com/workshop. Get ready, mama, because we are about to do some work.
Yeah, I mean, some of the 8's desire for autonomy and like being totally empowered might compromise the 6's need for security.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the 8 wants to be big and in the world and wants to take risks. And the 6 is like, that feels bad to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for the 6, like, I really need you to be here. I need like a certain amount of like dependability, and the 8 experiences that as constraining.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that
we
was
just went
that
over right
second
now.
part.
So I was just going to say that right now, just kind of what you said. We just went over right now, like our financial stuff and going over with our financial plan or whatever it was. And he was just one of the things that we were arguing about. And I was like, well, that decision is something we can do in the beginning of 2026. My wife's like, no, let's move that to 2025. And I go, no, let's move it to 2026 because I'd rather be more conservative and ensure that we're financially secure and able to do those things.
And right away, I'm like, that's
she's like, no, I need that right now. Like, if we could
she doesn't want to be constrained, and you are thinking long-term security.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Veronica, I would guess that you, in theory, love that about him, that he's very much about security and like ensuring you have a future, but you hate when it impinges on the fun.
Yes, because the first thing that I
Or
thought
when
of,
I tell her she can't do something,
yeah,
she
I'm
don't
like
that.
bullshit. Watch me. Watch me.
Listen, I have had that experience with Veronica too. We were in Nashville and she was like, oh, can I buy this on the company card? And I was like, no, you cannot. And she didn't like that.
I didn't buy it on the company card, but I was like, I can see a way.
You didn't. You did the right thing. You did the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you did not like me telling you no.
No, I was like, Laurel, I thought we were fucking homies. What's going on here?
I'm going to buy it anyway. That's what she does. Like, like, watch me. I wasn't actually, I wanted to sound like I was asking for your permission.
That was cute.
I was just going to do it anyway.
I was going to do the shit anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you see how just like understanding the operating system deconstructs common problems?
Yeah.
Right?
You know, with what you're saying, it kind of brings me to we had an argument a while back last year. And one thing that really helped us was knowing this about us, you know, where Willie didn't personalize it and I didn't personalize it. It was about like, it was a networking event. And you didn't know it was a networking event. You thought it was like a you and me event.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, it was a networking event. And so Willie would, you know, one thing that was really good about like Willie was, he was like, just let me know it's a networking event. If it's a networking event.
He likes to know so that he can make contingency plans.
Just like today, I wanted to know like the contingency plan, you know.
Oh.
Exit plan.
Sorry, you have one. I made the decision. Me and Laurel made the decision for you.
Just kidding. No, I want to know the plan ahead of time so I know like what my role is, and then so it's not something that's just I'm caught off guard and I have a different vision of how this is gonna go, and it doesn't go that way, and I'm like I feel let down. And so that's what ended up happening. She had a whole agenda on how she's seen her night going. I had a whole agenda on how I see my night going. We failed to see how each other's night was going to go together, or even at times apart. And so there was just miscommunication. And in the end, I had just suggested, just let me know in advance, and I'll support either way. If I'm just here to be your flyboy, and you know, and you do your thing, then that's what I'll be. But if it's to, you know, we're gonna do this together and just have a good time and enjoy a night out, then cool, I'm with that too. But
well, 8s are really good at winging it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm like, fuck it. We'll figure out the plan on our way.
Well, no.
Well, there's a lot of 7 in that too. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that
They
or
actually,
seven
eights
types.
don't always love plans. They feel boxed in by them. It's like, well, what if I want to do this? I don't want to feel like I've already committed to this and this and this, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So with this Enneagram thing, can somebody be like a combination of things, kind of like the DISC assessment, where you have like
Oh, yeah.
an S or?
Yeah. No. So you have one primary type that is your type your whole life. It doesn't change. And then everyone has a wing that is on one side. So Willie, you could have a 5 wing or you could have a 7 wing. I don't know. You can discover that on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of move to different types in stress and in growth.
Mm-hmm.
We all have access to a little bit of each type. Like there's going to be parts of every type that we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I feel that way sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think of it as like we have one main house and then we have like a vacation house, which is our wing that we like have access to and kind of can get us up out of some of the bad stuff about our type or the challenging stuff. But no, you stay your type your whole life. And I also like to say, like, there's no bad types. There's also no bad combinations of types. 6 and 8, they're going to have certain challenges, but you two have clearly made it work. What is it, 23 years now?
24.
24. Okay. Well, see, like, you can make any combination work if you're both willing to do the work and to really understand what motivates your partner and why they're behaving that way, not just being frustrated that they're behaving that way. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love the Enneagram as a tool for couples.
No, I like it. This is it kind of sounds like this sort of speeds up that process for building love maps, right?
Yes,
Like
it does.
Understanding one another better.
Yeah, definitely. Because with building love maps, there's a lot of questions, and obviously there's a lot of questions involved. But there's in like couples therapy, it takes a good amount of time building up the couples so that they're not personalizing it and they recognize like, no, this is just sort of like their genetic makeup. And if you can look at it from that perspective, then you're more of this like, it makes sense why my husband or my wife operates that way. And it's not an attack towards me,
Yeah. It's also very trauma informed, right? Like Willie, you said, like your parents' divorce really shaped how you are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we can heal from our trauma, but it also programs us. We may not have trauma triggers, we may not be reactive to it, but it still has shaped us. And yeah, Veronica, what you're speaking to is just like having a deep understanding of your partner's inner world. I shared in the last episode, I met my fiance. I was like, that is a 5.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to approach very gently. We're going to focus on thoughts and ideas and language and like forming a strong intellectual connection, going very slow and giving lots of space, lots of alone time. And my fiance instantly felt seen, heard, and understood without having to tell me this is who I am and how I operate. Now, if I hadn't known the Enneagram, I wouldn't have known to behave that way. So we talked in the last episode about like you can use it's not just for marriage, it's also with your kids, it's also with your employees and coworkers and bosses. It's anytime you have a general sense of someone's core fears and motivation, you can be more loving and communicate better with them and have better relationships and be more effective in the world.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So for somebody that, I mean, obviously like when I took the test, I told you mine was like, when I took the test, it gave me the,
told you were a
3.
2 or a 3.
Yeah. It told me I was a 3 being 2. And I'm like, that totally makes sense. Right. So, and I think I asked this question the last time. What would you advise? So somebody who's just kind of like listening to this podcast and like, oh shit, I want to go ahead and do that trick on my husband or on me or whatever. Like, what would be the first step?
Yeah.
Because I could already hear women going, oh, fuck, I'm totally going to try to voodoo my husband and figuring out what number he is, right?
I know I need to give him space,
right?
Some time.
Yeah, well, you can't determine someone else's type for them, right? Again, I love to be wrong. So, Willie, Veronica, if you decide to read up yourselves and you're like, oh, I'm not a 6,
Laurel,
I'm a 9.
Laurel.
Okay, great.
Got me all confused.
But if you want to learn more, and I would start with yourself, not your partner, right? You have more access to your own inner world. So on my website, laureltherapy.net, we have a whole section on the Enneagram. And I also recommend enneagraminstitute.org. And then I recently become familiar with an author, Suzanne Stabile, and I really like her approach to the Enneagram. It's very holistic, and it's very like non-pathologizing. Some of the older Enneagram work is more like, here's what's wrong with this type, and it's like, no, like we're all doing the best we can, And other than that, there are some really cool like YouTube content creators. But the thing as you're reading and familiarizing yourself with Enneagram is just to remember that it should feel really dynamic. It shouldn't feel static. It shouldn't feel like, well, this Enneagram type is this type of Halloween candy, because Halloween candy is static. This is like a very like moving and flexible way of being. Even though you stay your same type, like you can be healthier in that type. Yeah.
So with the assessments, if you were to do it by yourself, and not just for myself, but for others that are listening, what would you say? Because I could tell you right now that I can adapt a test to what I want people to see me as, or the outcome I wish to make this test go that way. I think that in the way that we're doing it right now, it's more authentic. You can see based off of my responses, and not through me trying to make myself seem like, give the perception. It's going to be more of a true way of getting that idea of what it is versus.
I don't recommend tests at all, actually. I don't recommend doing the assessments, because the assessments really only measure behavior. And like you said, it's really easy to manipulate them. If you want the world to see you as a 2, then you're going to present yourself in the way that looks like a 2, even if your core motivation is more like a 7, right? Or a 4, right? We're looking at what truly motivates you, what's deep in there that is the motivation for all your behaviors. Tests can only measure behavior. So, I think just reading and familiarizing yourself with the system, that's really the best way. I don't think the assessments are good. And there are many out there. Some of them are paid tools. Some of them are just like, BuzzFeed quiz. And I haven't found any that I like. They often tell women that they're a 2 and men that they're an 8, because those are kind of very like gendered types. 8 being a very masculine type, which is why I love when women have like, defied the social conditioning. And I love when men are 2s and they are nurturing and caring and giving. But yeah, it's, I think pretty much everyone gets mistyped when they take an assessment. So reading through the types, and when you read one that's like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. Are they watching me? Are they in my head? That's a clue that it could be your type.
Yeah. It sounds like the best way to really, really get an idea of where you're at is by going to Laurel's website.
That's right.
We got to go to Laurel's website. Yeah. She did an amazing job with both of us. And now you have now you guys have a better understanding, a clear understanding of the benefits from this Enneagram. And Laurel, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on and being so no,
this is right? Insightful. It just let me know more about myself.
Yeah.
Where I am on the list.
And that's really the beauty. I mean, we need to use the Enneagram first on ourselves. First, we need to do our own work and to be the healthiest version of our own type that we can be. And then we can start using it in our relationships.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, okay. That makes sense.
So now we know why I need to always be in control and you just need to go with the flow.
Why it's the situations you need to just calm down.
Laurel.
Well, it was so fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for jumping on and doing this. This was amazing. Did you?
This is fun.
Right? Totally blew your mind?
Yeah.
Told you.
Well, I'll see you again soon, Veronica and Willie. I'm sure you'll be around. I'll see you again.
Of course.
I mean, maybe.
We'll see.
All right.
Have a good one.
All of this information will be in the show notes. Laurel, again, can you tell us where we can find you on social media? And then can you give us that website one more time?
Yeah. My website's laureltherapy.net, and we do offer Enneagram therapy. So if you know your type and you're wanting to be the best kind of 4 that you can be, or the best kind of 6 you can be, we can help you out with that. California, Florida, and Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And then our Instagram is Laurel Therapy Collective.
Boom. Thank you again, Laurel.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now, write a review, rate the episode, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends.
I'm Madeline, and I'm the host of the Happiest Sober podcast. I got sober in my 20s after a decade of gray area drinking, and the greatest plot twist of all time was realizing that alcohol, the thing that I thought made my life the most happy and fun and exciting, was actually the exact thing preventing me from living my happiest and best life. My mom is 40 years sober, and she joins me on my podcast very often. I like to call her my part-time co-host, and I also bring you solo episodes where I share my top tips, tricks, and mindset shifts in sobriety, and lots of how-tos for navigating all the things sober, from weddings to parties to holidays to bachelorette parties to trips. I'm also joined by so many guests who come on and share their sober stories, and they're all so inspiring. I'm here to show you that life doesn't end when you quit drinking. In fact, it's very much the opposite. And no matter what your relationship was with alcohol, life can be the absolute happiest when you're sober. New episodes come out every Tuesday. You can listen to Happiest Sober podcast wherever you get your podcasts.